2014 Ram. Going to do front struts, okay? Complete with springs and mounts. What you want to do is open your hood, get yourself a little ladder, and I think they're 15. Yes, they are 15s. Loosen those 3 15mm nuts on top of the strut assembly. You can remove 2 of them and leave 1 loose. Do that on both sides. I took the air box top off and the filter out because I wanted to check the filter, and also kind of gets out of my way. So I loosen those up also, the 3 nuts on top. And then what we'll do is we'll raise it up, we'll jack it up and support it properly, and remove the tires, and then we'll finish removing the struts. Okay, jack it up, support it properly, remove your front tires. Mine were a 22, and it looks like it's under quite a stress and no room to get anything in and out. So what I'm going to do is remove my upper ball joint, break the taper loose. But what I'm going to do is remove my cotter pin, remove my nut, put my nut back on by a couple threads, break my taper. That way if it's under a lot of stress, it won't drop down real far for me, and we'll see how it goes. All right, loosen my nut up, got it back on there, a couple threads. Like I said, I want to break the taper loose, and I don't want to be in for any kind of surprises. And I have to see how much stress this upper arm is on. Under some pretty good stress. So we have to get our pry bar and pry down the upper control arm to see how much we got going on here. All right, not too bad. So I can go ahead and remove my nut and allow my control arm to go up. And then watch out, because this is going to come towards you. You don't want to pull your joints, your CV joints out of their housings. So be careful. Make sure you're going to have some slack in your brake lines and electrical wires also. Okay, doesn't look too bad, but I think we need to remove the tie rod end. Get that off of there, off the knuckle. That'll give us a little bit more room. The nuts are 21. Break the taper loose. I think I'm gonna get me a bungee cord to hold that up in there tighter against the side over here. I think I'll get me a strap just to be on the safe side. All right. Okay. This lower strap bolts are 21 and the nuts are 24. What you want to do is remove your bolt. It's under there. Got a little stress on it from the strut. All right, what I did was I pried the strut up on top of the control arm, and then I pried it over, and now it's just sitting in there waiting to remove my nuts on top. Okay, took out the top nuts. Comes right out, okay? And here we are. Now it's time to get the new parts. Okay, got the new strut. So you want to have this even with that, okay? Because this is going to be on the outside towards the wheel, and you need to have that like that. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll pick it up, push it up into the upper strut tower, put our nuts on, or at least one nut, and then we'll pry our little fork over the lower control arm. Okay, the strut is in there. I got 2 nuts on top. Good enough. Now I can go ahead and pry down the control arm and push that baby over there. Pried it with a pry bar, get it over this lip. Okay, now I can go ahead and put my lower bolt in and tighten it up. And then I can go ahead and put my upper control arm ball joint into my knuckle. All right, you got your lower strut bolt in there, and you want to tighten that nut to 145 foot-pounds, okay? All right, now we can go ahead and get our upper control arm in, the ball joint in the knuckle, put our nut on there and tighten it up. All right, get your upper ball joint in there, get the nut tight, torque it to 65 foot-pounds, and go ahead and put your cotter pin back in there, and you might want to also grease it. Next you want to do is do your tie rod end, put some lube on the threads, make it easier to go on there. I'm going to put some anti-seize on it. Alright, I pried the tie rod end into the taper, and then I can tighten my nut. You want to make sure you tighten that to 75 foot-pounds. Alright, and also got this ABS wire right here, which is kind of loose, flapping around. Put a zip tie around the whole knuckle assembly. That way that'll keep it away from the half shaft boot. Alright, so now this side is all together inside here. Now you can go ahead and put your other nut on top, and we can lower it down and tighten our three nuts. But I'm going to do my other side just like this, and then when we get to this point of having to tighten them up, we'll put our tires on and we'll lower down to the ground and we'll tighten our upper nuts. Okay? Quick refresher. Ball joint nut. Leave it on a couple threads. Brake taper. Remove tie rod end. Brake taper. Loosen the bolt up for lower strut. Remove your nut from your upper control arm. Allow that knuckle to come out a little bit. Put a bungee cord on it from the caliper to the frame. Remove your bolt for your strut. Pry your strut out. Remove your upper nuts. Remove strut. Strut is in. Upper nuts on. All you're going to do is pry the strut in. Upper ball joint in. Tighten your nut. Put your cotter pin in. Tie rod in. Tighten it up. Zip tie in case this is loose. One thing I forgot to tell you on the other side is this lower bolt for the strut. Do not tighten this up until it's at ground height, sitting on the ground. So I'll go loosen the other side back up a little bit. So we'll tighten this up when we got it sitting on the ground. I'll go underneath and I'll tighten it up. All right, remember that was 145 foot-pounds, because if you tighten it up when it's up in the air, control arms like that. When you go to ride height, you go like that, and that twists that bushing inside there, and it will eventually destroy it. So tighten those up at ride height. Same thing with control arm bolts. Ride height, ride height, ride height. Okay? All right, so this side's done except for the lower bolt. I'm gonna go loosen the other side up. My mistake, I've just got too far ahead of myself. All right, so now I can go ahead and put my tires on. Torque my lug nuts to 140 foot-pounds, and I'll lower it down to the ground. Tighten my upper 3 nuts and my lower bolt and torque it. Okay, vehicle's on the ground. All the weight is on the upper struts into the towers, and now you can go ahead and tighten them up. To say the spec is 45 foot-pounds, that seems a little high. I would go 40, okay? So tighten up both sides, put your air filter back in with a new one. All right, then you can shut your hood, and then you can drive the vehicle out of your garage or whatever. If you got one of those car ramps, drive it up on the car ramp so you can get underneath the vehicle so you can tighten those lower strut bolts, okay? Air filter's back together. Your nuts are tight. You can use a jack up the lower control arms and tighten them. Best way I've seen was drive it up on the ramps, okay? And once you get that done, then you'll be all set, okay? Don't forget, 145 foot-pounds for the lower strut bolts. Okay, I did mine outside on the ground. So you got the ramps, I advise using the ramps. It's got a tight climb underneath that. Alright? So hopefully I helped you out this video, and hopefully you can help me out by subscribing to me. And I appreciate it. Good luck.